Most gardeners think November is the end, garden beds empty, tools packed away. But here's the truth. Right now, this week, you can plant 11 fall blooms that will explode with color while everyone else stares at bare dirt. Miss this window and you'll regret it come December. Number 7 survives hard frost and keeps blooming into January. And number 1, it changed everything for me. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. I share proven planting tips like this every single week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Welcome back. If you're watching from the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom, this video is for you. We're counting down 11 fall blooms you can plant right now in early November. And I'm not just listing plants. Each one comes with my personal planting hack that cuts your work in half and doubles your success rate. Here's what makes this different. Most gardening videos tell you what to plant in October. Too late. We're past that. It's November 5th today, but that doesn't mean you missed your chance. These 11 blooms thrive when planted right now, and if you're in zones 7 through 10, you're in the perfect window. Even zones 5 and 6, you still have time if the ground hasn't frozen yet. Quick question before we start. Do you usually plant flowers in November, or do you wait until spring? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious how many of you are already ahead of the game. All right, let's get into it. We're starting at number 11 and working our way to number 1. And trust me, number 1 is the game changer. Number 11, Sweet Alyssum. Imagine walking up your pathway on a warm November afternoon and you're hit with this sweet, honey-like fragrance. That's Alyssum, tiny white or purple blooms that carpet the ground like fresh snow. This plant is a workhorse. Here's how you plant it. Grab transplants from your local garden center. Lowe's, Home Depot, even Walmart carries them right now. Plant them 6 to 8 inches apart. They spread fast. Full sun to part shade works. If you're in zone 7 or higher, they'll bloom straight through winter. Zones 5 and 6, they'll give you color until the first hard freeze, which is usually mid to late November in places like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York. Water them every 3 to 4 days until they're established. After that, they're drought tolerant, low maintenance. But here's the insider trick most people miss. Plant Alyssum along the edges of your vegetable beds. It attracts beneficial insects that protect your crops all season. Ladybugs, lacewings, hoverflies, free pest control. I planted Alyssum around my tomato beds last November and I had 0 aphid problems in spring. 0! Picture this, your winter garden with flowing white edges that glow in the moonlight. And here's what shocked me. This plant reseeds itself. You plant it once and it comes back year after year. One planting, years of blooms. Do you prefer white or purple Alyssum? Let me know below. Number 10. Snapdragons. I'll be honest with you. I ignored these for years. Thought they were too basic, too common. Then I planted them in early November 3 years ago. First frost hit in mid-December, everything else in my garden wilted, except the Snapdragons. They stood tall, blooming like nothing happened. That's when I realized I'd been sleeping on these plants. Here's what you need to know. Buy transplants, not seeds. Seeds take too long. Plant them now through December if you're in zones 8 through 10. California, Texas, Florida, southern Georgia, you're golden. Zones 6 and 7, plant them now before mid-November. Places like Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, Oklahoma, you've got about a week left. Space them 12 to 18 inches apart. They get big. Full sun is best, but they'll tolerate part shade. And here's the magic. They bloom from late November all the way through early June. 6 months of continuous flowers. You'll be cutting fresh bouquets in January. But here's the hack nobody tells you. When you first plant Snapdragons, cut the central stem back by 1/3. I know it sounds scary, you're cutting off flowers you just bought, but this forces the plant to branch out. Instead of 1 tall stem, you'll get 5 or 6, 3 times more flower spikes, 3 times more blooms. Imagine cutting fresh flower arrangements from your own garden every week, even in January. That's Snapdragons. And wait until you see how these pair with bloom number 6 I'm showing you in a few minutes. The color combination is absolutely stunning. What's your favorite Snapdragon color? Let me know in the comments. Number 9. Petunias. Okay, pause for a second. Petunias in November? Yes, and here's why this works better than spring planting. Most people plant the petunias in March or April when it's warm, but they struggle in the heat, they get leggy, they stop blooming by July. You have to deadhead them constantly. It's exhausting. But when you plant petunias in November, they establish strong roots in cool weather. No heat stress, no pest pressure. By the time spring arrives, they're massive, healthy plants that bloom non-stop. Here's how to do it. Buy transplants right now. Plant them in zones 8 through 10 anytime through December. Arizona, Southern California, South Texas, Gulf Coast states, you're perfect. Zone 6 and 7, plant them this week. You're cutting it close, but it works. Space them 10 to 12 inches apart, full sun to light shade. They'll start blooming in late November and keep going through early May. 6 months of color. Now here's the hard part. When you plant them, pinch off all the flowers, every single one. I know it hurts, you just spent money on blooming plants, and I'm telling you to destroy them. But trust me on this. Pinching off the flowers forces energy into root development. In 3 weeks, you'll have double the blooms. Massive, healthy plants. I learned this the hard way. My first year planting fall petunias, I left the flowers on. They looked pretty for 2 weeks, then died. Next year, I pinched everything off. Those plants exploded. It was like night and day. But petunias have one enemy that can ruin everything: overwatering. Cool November weather means slow evaporation. If you water them like it's summer, they'll rot. Water deeply at planting, then once a week. That's it. What's your favorite petunia color? Classic purple, bright pink, or white? Comment below and hit the subscribe button if you're loving this video. Number 8. Dianthus. These look delicate. Ruffled edges like lace, soft petals. But don't let that fool you. They're tough as nails. Here's what you need to know. Dianthus thrives in cool weather. They love November planting. Buy transplants from your garden center. Look for compact plants with dark green foliage. Avoid leggy, stretched-out plants. Those won't perform well. Plant them 8 to 10 inches apart. Full sun is best. They need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight. If you're in zones 7 through 10, plant them anytime this month. Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, California, you're golden. Zones 5 and 6, plant them this week before the ground freezes. Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, you're cutting it close, but it works if you move fast. Dianthus has this amazing, spicy, clove-like fragrance. When you brush past them, the scent hits you. It's incredible. And they bloom from late November all the way through May. 6 months of flowers. Here's my personal story with Dianthus. Last year, we had a surprise hard freeze in mid-December, 22 degrees. I thought everything was done. I went outside the next morning expecting dead plants. But the Dianthus were still standing, covered in frost crystals, looking like something out of a winter fairy tale. They didn't just survive, they thrived. That's when I realized these plants are special. But here's the hack that keeps them blooming non-stop. Deadhead spent blooms weekly. It takes 2 minutes. Walk through your garden with scissors, snip off the faded flowers. This signals the plant to produce more buds. Without deadheading, they'll slow down and stop blooming by February. With deadheading, they'll give you flowers until May. Water them deeply at planting, then once a week. They're drought-tolerant once established. Overwatering kills Dianthus faster than anything else. Dianthus are amazing, but bloom number 5 is the one that literally stops people in their tracks. More on that in just a moment. Number 7. Pansies. If you only plant one thing from this entire list, make it pansies. This is the ultimate November flower. Here's why pansies are at number 7. They're cold-hardy, extremely cold-hardy. They survive frost, snow, and freezing temperatures down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. In some cases, they've survived 0 degrees and bounce back in spring. I've seen it happen in Michigan and Pennsylvania. The flowers freeze solid, but the plants survive underground and come roaring back. Buy transplants right now. Every garden center in America, Canada, and the UK has pansies in stock in November. Home Depot, Lowe's, local nurseries, even grocery stores, they're everywhere because this is pansy season. Plant them 6 to 8 inches apart, full sun to part shade. They're not picky. If you're in zones 7 through 10, plant them anytime through December. They'll bloom from now until May. If you're in zones 5 and 6, plant them this week. They'll give you color through Thanksgiving, go dormant during the coldest part of winter, then come back strong in February and March. Imagine it. It's Christmas morning. There's frost on the ground. You look outside, and your pansies are blooming. Bright yellows, deep purples, faces looking up like they're smiling at winter itself. That's the magic of pansies. Here's the hack that most people miss. Water them deeply once at planting, then cut back. Cool November weather means slow evaporation. If you water pansies like it's summer, they'll rot. Water once a week, maybe twice if it's unusually warm and dry. That's it. Overwatering causes root rot and you'll lose them before Christmas. Fertilize at planting with a balanced, slow-release fertilizer, then leave them alone until late February. They don't need feeding in winter. They need strong roots, not rapid growth. Have you ever grown pansies through winter? Let me know in the comments. Number 6. Calendula. Bright orange and yellow blooms that look like the sun decided to live in your garden. This is one of my all-time favorite fall flowers. Here's what makes calendula special. It's easy, ridiculously easy. You can direct seed or plant transplants. Both work. And it grows fast. You'll see blooms 60 days after planting. That means if you plant calendula this week, in early November, you'll have flowers by early January. If you're in zones 8 through 10, you're in the perfect window. Plant calendula anytime through December. Southern states, southwestern states, you're golden. Zones 6 and 7, plant it now. Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, you've got about 2 weeks left before it's too late. Space them 12 to 15 inches apart. They get big. Full sun is best. And here's something most people don't know. Calendula petals are edible. You can toss them in salads. They're peppery, slightly sweet, and they add this gorgeous pop of color to your plate. I planted calendula last November, and by late December, I had these massive golden blooms the size of my palm. I started experimenting with the petals in my cooking, added them to winter salads with arugula and goat cheese. My family thought I was crazy at first. Then they tasted it, now they ask for it. But here's the real reason I love calendula. It attracts beneficial insects. Ladybugs, lacewings, hoverflies, parasitic wasps. These insects protect your garden from pests. If you plant calendula near your vegetable beds, you get free pest control all season. I planted it around my lettuce and spinach last year. 0 aphids, 0 caterpillars. The beneficial insects did all the work. Calendula reseeds like crazy. You plant it once and it comes back year after year. You'll find baby calendula plants popping up all over your garden next fall. It's a gift that keeps giving. What's your favorite way to use calendula? Ornamental or edible? Let me know below. All right, quick recap so you don't forget. We've covered Sweet Alyssum, Snapdragons, Petunias, Dianthus, Pansies, and Calendula. 6 down, 5 to go. And trust me, we're just getting to the good stuff. Remember I mentioned bloom number 1 that changed everything for me? We're getting close. But first, bloom number 5 is the lazy gardener's dream flower. You almost can't kill it. Number 5. Nasturtiums. If you want color with zero effort, this is it. Here's what makes nasturtiums special. They're foolproof. You literally throw seeds in the ground, water once, and walk away. 8 weeks later, you have cascading blooms everywhere. It's almost too easy. Direct seed nasturtiums right now. Don't bother with transplants. They hate being transplanted. Just poke holes in the soil about ½ an inch deep, drop in the seeds, cover them, water once, done. Space them 10 to 12 inches apart. Full sun to part shade. They're not picky. If you're in zones 8 through 10, plant them anytime through January. If you're in zones 6 and 7, plant them this week. You want them established before the first hard freeze. And here's the cool part. Both the flowers and the leaves are edible. They have this peppery, spicy taste, like arugula but more intense. You can toss them in salads, use them as garnish, even make nasturtium pesto. I'm serious, look it up, it's delicious. But here's my favorite nasturtium story. I had this sad, bare corner in my garden where nothing would grow. Too much shade from a neighbor's fence, weird compacted soil. I tried tomatoes, failed. Tried herbs, failed. Finally, I threw nasturtium seeds there in November as a last-ditch experiment. I figured if nothing else works, why not? 8 weeks later, it was a cascade of red, orange, and yellow blooms spilling everywhere. Total transformation! That corner went from the ugliest part of my garden to the most photographed spot. People would stop and ask what I did. I told them the truth. I threw seeds and walked away. Here's the insider hack. Nasturtiums are a trap crop. Aphids love them, absolutely love them. So plant nasturtiums near your vegetables, and aphids will attack the nasturtiums instead of your lettuce, kale, and broccoli. It's called the sacrifice plant strategy. You let the nasturtiums take the hit so your food crops stay clean. Have you ever eaten nasturtium flowers? They're delicious in salads. Let me know if you've tried them and hit the subscribe button if you're loving this video. Number 4. Stock flowers. Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You walk into your garden on a cool November evening, and you're hit with the sweetest, most intoxicating fragrance. That's stock. This flower is all about the scent. Here's what makes stock special. The fragrance is incredible. It's sweet, floral, with a hint of spice. One stock plant can perfume your entire yard, and if you cut the stems and bring them inside, your whole house will smell amazing for 2 weeks. Buy transplants right now if you're in zones 8 through 10. California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, southern states, you're in the perfect window. Plant them anytime through January. If you're in zones 6 and 7, plant them this week. You're cutting it close, but it works. Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, Arkansas, you've got about a week left. Space them 10 to 12 inches apart. Full sun is best. They need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight to produce strong stems. Stock flowers bloom in late winter through spring. You're planting them now in November, and they'll give you flowers starting in February and lasting through April. Here's my personal story with stock. I planted them last November, and when they bloomed in February, the entire yard smelled like perfume. My neighbor actually knocked on my door and asked if I was burning scented candles outside. I told her it was the stock flowers. She didn't believe me until I showed her. Now she plants them every year. But here's the hack that makes stock flowers last longer. Cut stems when half the buds are open, not fully open, half open. This extends vase life. You'll get 10 to 14 days in a vase, and your whole house will smell incredible. I cut stock flowers every week in February and March. I give them away to friends and family. Everyone loves them. Water stock flowers deeply at planting, then once a week. They're not drought tolerant. They need consistent moisture. But don't overwater. Cool weather means slow evaporation. Once a week is enough. Stock flowers are stunning, but bloom number 3 is the one that survives conditions that would kill everything else. This one is wild. Number 3. Ornamental kale. Okay, hear me out. Kale. Yes, kale. But this isn't for eating. This is pure visual drama. Here's what makes ornamental kale special. It's not a flower. It's foliage, but the colors are insane. Deep purple, hot pink, creamy white, lime green. The colors intensify with cold weather. The colder it gets, the more vibrant the colors become. It's the only plant where you actually want frost. Buy transplants right now. Every garden center has them. They're usually sitting outside in the cold section because they're so hardy. Plant them 12 to 18 inches apart. They get big, really big. Each rosette can reach 12 to 15 inches across. Full sun to part shade. They're not picky. If you're in zones 7 through 10, plant them anytime through December. If you're in zones 5 and 6, plant them this week. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, you're cutting it close, but it works. Ornamental kale is frost tolerant down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. 5 degrees! That's incredibly cold. Most plants are dead at 20 degrees. Ornamental kale is still thriving at 5. I've seen it happen in Illinois and Wisconsin. The flowers freeze solid, but the kale keeps growing. Picture this. It's mid-January. Everything is brown and dormant. Then you have these huge rosettes of deep purple, hot pink, and white leaves glowing in your garden like something from another planet. It's stunning. People stop their cars to look. I'm not exaggerating. I planted it last November thinking it would last through December. Maybe. We had a brutal cold snap in January. 12 degrees for 5 straight nights. I thought everything was done. But the ornamental kale didn't just survive. The colors got more vibrant, brighter, more intense. It was like the cold was painting them. I've never seen anything like it. Here's the bonus hack. Plant ornamental kale at a 45-degree angle in containers. This tilts the rosette so you can see the full face of the plant. Most people plant them straight up, and you can only see the top. Tilting them shows off the entire rosette. It's a small detail, but it makes a huge difference. Water ornamental kale deeply at planting, then once a week. They're drought tolerant once established. And here's the cool part. They last through winter and into early spring. You're planting them now in November, and they'll give you color through March. 4 months of non-stop visual drama. Ornamental kale is wild, but bloom number 2 attracts so many pollinators, your garden will sound like it's humming. This one is magical. Number 2. Blue Salvia. If you want your garden buzzing with life, this is it. This is the pollinator magnet. Here's what makes blue salvia special. The flowers are tall, vertical spikes of deep indigo blue. They stand out from across the yard. And they attract hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees like crazy. I'm talking dozens of pollinators every single day. Buy transplants right now if you're in zones 8 through 10. Texas, California, Arizona, southern states, you're golden. Plant them anytime through October. Wait, we're in November now. If you're in zones 8 through 10, you can still plant them through early November, but move fast. You're at the end of the window. If you're in zone 6 and 7, you missed it. Wait until spring. Space them 12 to 15 inches apart. Full sun is best. They need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight. Blue salvia blooms from April through December. You're planting them now in November, and they'll establish roots over winter. Then in April, they'll explode with flowers and bloom non-stop until December. I planted them last November, and by April, I had hummingbirds visiting every single day. Multiple hummingbirds. They would hover around the salvia spikes for minutes at a time. I started sitting near the salvia in the afternoons just to watch them. It was like running a private hummingbird resort. But here's the hack that keeps them blooming for months. Deadhead spent flower spikes weekly. Walk through your garden with scissors. Snip off the faded spikes. This signals the plant to produce more buds. Without deadheading, they'll slow down by August. With deadheading, they'll bloom non-stop until December. And here's the kicker. Blue salvia reseeds itself. You plant it once and it comes back year after year. I planted 12 blue salvia plants 3 years ago. Now I have over 50. They spread naturally. I give away seedlings to friends and neighbors. Everyone wants them. Water blue salvia deeply at planting, then twice a week for the first month. After that, once a week. They're drought-tolerant once established. They're tough plants. On warm November afternoons, I sit near my blue salvia and just watch the bees and butterflies. It's like meditation, except your garden does all the work. Do you have hummingbirds in your area? Let me know in the comments. All right, we've reached number 1. This is the bloom that shocked me, saved my garden, and is now the first thing I plant every November. Are you ready? Number 1, chrysanthemums, mums. And here's why they're at the top. They give you instant, massive color right now. And if you plant them right, they'll come back year after year. Most people buy mums in October, enjoy them for a few weeks, then throw them away after the first frost. That's a mistake. Mums can be perennial if you plant them correctly. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Buy mums right now. They're on sale everywhere. Garden centers are trying to clear them out before winter. You can get massive, blooming mums for $5 to $10. It's the best deal in gardening. Here's what you need to know. Don't leave them in the plastic pot. That's the mistake most people make. They buy mums, set them on the porch in the pot, and wonder why they die. You have to plant them in the ground. Dig a hole twice as wide as the pot, remove the mum from the pot, loosen the roots, place it in the hole, backfill with soil, water deeply. Done. Space them 18 to 24 inches apart. They get big. Full sun is best, at least 6 hours of direct sunlight. If you're in zones 5 through 10, you can plant mums right now. All of the United States, most of Canada and the UK, you're good. 2 years ago, I planted mums in November, thinking they'd just be temporary filler, something to look at until winter. I followed one specific technique, and those mums came back the next November, and the next. They're now massive plants producing hundreds of blooms every fall. Here's the secret technique. When you plant mums now in November, enjoy the blooms through Thanksgiving. After the first hard frost kills the flowers, cut them back by 1/3. Leave the stems. Don't cut them to the ground. Leave 6 to 8 inches of stem above the soil. Then, mulch around the base with 2 to 3 inches of compost or shredded bark. This insulates the roots. Water once a week through winter. Even in December and January, once a week, just enough to keep the roots alive. In spring, around March or April, you'll see new green growth coming up from the roots. That's when you know they survived. Let them grow through summer. They'll look like green bushes. Then, in September, they'll start budding. By October, they'll be covered in blooms. That's perennial mums. One planting, years of flowers. All right, we've covered all 11 blooms. Sweet Alyssum, Snapdragons, Petunias, Dianthus, Pansies, Calendula, Nasturtiums, stock flowers, ornamental kale, blue salvia, and chrysanthemums. 11 blooms that will transform your garden from dull to stunning in the next 60 days. But before you go, I need to give you 3 critical tips that will make or break your success with every single plant on this list. These are the mistakes I see people make over and over. Don't be one of them. Tip number 1, soil preparation. This is huge. Most people skip this step and wonder why their plants fail. Here's what you need to do. Before you plant anything, amend your soil with 2 to 3 inches of compost or aged manure. Spread it over your garden bed. Work it into the top 6 inches of soil with a shovel or garden fork. Why does this matter? Fall plants need good drainage. If water pools in your beds after rain, your plants will rot. Compost improves drainage. It also adds nutrients and beneficial microbes that help roots establish quickly. 5 minutes of soil prep saves months of frustration. If you're in zones 5 through 7, places like Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan, Illinois, you need to do this now. If you're in zones 8 through 10, southern states, you have a bit more time, but don't wait. Tip number 2, watering strategy. This is where most people kill their fall plants. They either overwater or underwater. Here's the rule. Water deeply at planting. Soak the soil until it's saturated. This settles the roots and removes air pockets. Then cut back to once or twice a week. That's it. Cool November weather means slow evaporation. The soil stays moister longer. If you water fall flowers like it's summer, you'll drown them. Root rot will kill them before winter even arrives. Here's how to check. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If it's dry at that depth, water. If it's still moist, wait. It's that simple. I killed so many fall plants my first year because I overwatered. Don't make the same mistake. And here's a bonus tip. Water in the morning, not the evening. Morning watering gives plants all day to absorb moisture before temperatures drop at night. Evening watering leaves soil wet overnight, which can cause fungal problems. Tip number 3, fertilizer timing. This one surprises people. Use a balanced, slow-release fertilizer at planting, something like 10-10-10 or 14-14-14. Sprinkle it around the base of each plant according to package directions. Water it in. Then, don't fertilize again until late February or early March. Fall plants don't need heavy feeding. They need root establishment, not rapid growth. If you fertilize them every month like you would in summer, you'll push leafy growth instead of strong roots. Then winter hits and the plants aren't ready. They die. I learned this the hard way. My first year planting fall flowers, I fertilized them every month thinking I was helping. They grew tall and leggy. Then the first frost hit and they collapsed. Next year, I fertilized once at planting and left them alone. Those plants thrived. Strong, compact, healthy. They bloomed for months. Here's one more bonus tip. Mulch around your plants with 1 to 2 inches of shredded bark or pine needles. Not right up against the stems. Leave a 2-inch gap around the stem to prevent rot, but mulch everywhere else. Mulching keeps soil temperature stable. It reduces weeds, and it makes your garden look polished and professional. I use pine bark mulch in all my fall beds. It's cheap, it lasts all winter, and it looks great. All right, let's do a lightning round recap so you don't forget. Sweet Alyssum for fragrance and ground cover, Snapdragons for cutting flowers, Petunias for massive blooms, Dianthus for spicy scent and cold hardiness, Pansies for extreme frost tolerance, Calendula for edible flowers and pest control, Nasturtiums for foolproof color, stock flowers for intoxicating fragrance, ornamental kale for visual drama in freezing weather, blue salvia for pollinators, and chrysanthemums for instant color and perennial potential. 11 blooms that will transform your garden from bare dirt to stunning color while everyone else quits for the season. Here's the truth. Most gardeners give up in November. They think the season's over. They pack away their tools and stare at brown soil until spring. But you're about to have the most beautiful garden in your neighborhood. You're about to have color, fragrance, and life while everyone else has nothing. That's how you win at gardening. Imagine walking outside on Thanksgiving morning and seeing your garden bursting with blooms. Imagine neighbors stopping to ask what your secret is. Imagine cutting fresh flowers in January. That's what these 11 plants give you. But here's the thing, you have to act fast. We're in early November right now. Most of these plants need to go in the ground within the next week to 2 weeks. If you wait until late November or December, you'll miss the window. The ground will freeze. Garden centers will sell out. your chance will be gone. So here's what I want you to do. Finish watching this video. Drop a comment telling me which bloom you're planting first. Then get to your local garden center this weekend. Buy transplants. Get them in the ground. Follow the tips I gave you and watch your garden transform. If you love this video, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Drop a comment right now. Which bloom are you planting first? I read every single comment and I'll reply with personalized tips for your zone and your climate. I'm here to help you succeed. Thank you so much for watching. Now get out there, get planting, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy gardening!